MMA Boxing Talk here. This is a video about the UFC lightweight division. Um, Basically, if you saw the thumbnail, we were talking about three of the best lightweights in the world, the three best lightweights by far, as of right now. You got the champion Conor McGregor, interim champion Tony Ferguson, and the uncrowned champion, we'll call him, Khabib Nurmagomedov. A lot of fans are they get excited every time Khabib fights and he wins, and then it was an amazing performance against Barboza. So I'm starting to become more of a Khabib fan, and I always respected his skills and his abilities. I mean, he's got very, very talented individual, but whenever he wasn't fighting, he wasn't making weight, and he's still on Twitter running his mouth all the time, and kind of stayed number one ranked contender for a long period of time without doing a whole lot. And then you got a guy like Tony Ferguson fighting fight after fight after fight while Khabib's on the sideline. Now Khabib has a nutritionist. He made weight no problem. He just smashed Barboza. Now all of a sudden, the last 2 years, he has 3 fights in the last 2 years. So he's becoming a lot more active. He wants to fight 3 times next year. So I like all that. But I do feel, fans, a lot of fans do get a little overexcited every time Khabib wins, and they feel like nobody is going to touch him, that he's going to beat everyone without a doubt. And that could very well be true, Khabib could go on and beat Tony Ferguson and beat Conor, or the other way around, whatever, beat Conor and then Tony Ferguson, or vice versa. But he could end up beating both those guys. It wouldn't surprise me at all. But at the same time, it's not a foregone conclusion. I mean, the Conor fight, Khabib is a bad matchup for Conor. It just stylistically, he could really embarrass Conor out there and finish him, or whatever, especially if it's a 5-round fight. But Conor, is, as much as Khabib is totally, totally superior than Conor in the grappling department, even in the clinch for that matter, Conor is equally superior when it comes to the striking and striking accuracy. And so that's an interesting fight. I would probably favor Khabib in that fight, to be honest, but we've seen Khabib get pieced up by a southpaw in Michael Johnson, who is overloading his punches, telegraphing his punches, and he had Khabib in a bit of trouble. I wouldn't say a lot of trouble, but Conor's a lot more precise, and so it's an interesting matchup. But I do favor Khabib over Conor, slightly for sure. Now, Conor versus Tony Ferguson is a great fight. Probably favor Conor, but at the same time, Tony's very, very durable. He could easily, do what kind of Nate Diaz did and go the distance. And I think if he goes past the second and third round, Tony he's a finisher. He could possibly finish Conor if it goes to the later rounds. But he could get stopped as well because he does take a lot of damage and get hit a lot. He rolls with a lot of punches too, so it's an interesting matchup for sure. But if it does go the distance, Tony would have a good chance of stopping Conor McGregor in the later rounds. If it goes that far, where Nate Diaz, Conor could get by with a decision in the rematch, because Nate Diaz isn't really a finisher. He just the way it is. So, and then obviously the matchup that, in my opinion, this is the fight that I want to see the most, is Tony Ferguson versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. I think that's a tough matchup for Khabib. It's obviously a tough matchup for Tony as well. Equally tough for both guys. I see both guys winning. Khabib hasn't faced a guy like Tony that's going to put a high pressure, who has that cardio, who has that tough mental strength like Tony has, and the submissions, the constant threat of submissions on the ground. That would probably keep Khabib very honest, and maybe not right away, but after he'd have a couple close calls with submission attempts by Tony, it could keep Khabib more honest. It'd be a very interesting fight. It would be, a grappler's delight, I think. Obviously, Tony much, much better on the feet. So if he could keep the fight standing, that would be to his advantage. He does have very good takedown defense. And, Khabib, his first shot isn't always the best. It's a lot of times sloppy. But it's an interesting fight, no doubt. But it's what the UFC is going to do. What are they going to do? Are they going to force Conor to fight Tony? Because that's what has to happen, because Tony is the interim champion. Conor has to fight the interim champion. He's back now, supposedly. Do they make that fight? Or do they somehow come up with an excuse and have Conor wait and fight the winner of Tony and Khabib, and they make Tony defend his interim title, fight Khabib, which is a great fight. Fans will still be, super interested in that, especially if Conor fights the winner. I don't know. I want to see Conor fight Tony Ferguson, But if he's not gonna, step aside, let the UFC strip you, vacate the title, whatever, and let the real fighters fight, if that's the case. But I hope he proves me wrong, because I do feel he's starting to lose a lot of his... Conor has a lot of fans, right? He has a lot of casual fans that'll probably never leave his side no matter what. And then he's got a lot of hardcore fans that are hardcore MMA fans that do like Conor a lot. They'll, call a spade, and they're not total fanboys about it. But a lot of these fans have given Conor more than one chance, more than one opportunity. And I feel that a lot of these hardcore MMA fans who are big Conor fans are starting to get sick of it. They're starting to get sick of Conor never defending his title. He's got to do something. So, I'm one of those fans that's starting to get turned off by these antics that Conor, this pattern of not defending your title. This is the 4th professional MMA title Conor's had, and he hasn't defended one. He had 2 in Cage Warriors, 2 in the UFC, and he hasn't defended one yet. So, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but I just wanted to, put out a video talking about each guy, each matchup, because all those fights should happen, and I don't know if they will, but we'll see. Hopefully, I'm underestimating Conor, and he does find the, testicular fortitude and challenge Tony Ferguson, unify the titles. And if you can get past Tony, which would be a very tough test, then you move on to Khabib. But I would personally, if you make Tony Conor for the interim title in March or April or whatever, or even the summer, Khabib wants to fight once before Ramadan. Ramadan starts, I believe, in the middle of May. So say Khabib fights in March, April. If he's not going to fight Tony or Conor, have him fight Eddie Alvarez. I think that'd be an interesting matchup, especially if Khabib wants to fight 3 times and stay active. That's the fight to make, unless he just wants to wait. But he'd have to wait till after Ramadan, so it wouldn't be till September he would fight. So he might as well get a fight in with possibly Eddie Alvarez. Sorry, my cat is going apeshit here. But that's it for this video anyway. If you liked the video, definitely subscribe. Check me out on Twitter at MMA Boxing Talk 1. Peace.